Today's guest is a man of faith. He's a husband, he's a father, and he's a leader. He's invested in his walk with Christ, his family, his marriage, and in real estate. We're looking forward to talking to our guest today, Mr. Chandler Biggs. Chandler, thanks for taking this time out of your day to come in and talk to us and allow us to ask you questions. We would love to hear about your story. The mic is yours. How are you?
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to just chat with you guys, and yeah, you guys sent over some pretty awesome questions, so I'm looking forward to getting into those. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we can jump right into it. The mic is yours. Please just tell us more about who you are, what made you you, a little bit of your story, as much as you'd like to go into that. And
Sweet.
yeah, we just want to know you.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess starting out, originally from Midland, across the state, moved over here to go to Grand Valley, 2015 to 2019, and then that's where I met my wife, Shauna, and we were friends for like 4 years in the same friend group. One rule is you don't date in the friend group, and then senior year everybody starts pairing off. So we paired off. We and I guess more on the side of just us two. We ended up going to Thailand with her family, and that's where I proposed to her.
Wow.
Which is it was pretty fun. Hijacked the family trip a little bit on the proposal, but yeah, that was quite the adventure. But then after I graduated college, for business side of things, I went to a marketing agency, worked there for about a year and a half, and in my free time, in the evenings or whenever I had a spare minute, I found myself like on the phone with our realtor, just working on deals, working on buying houses. So, and then it was like, what am I doing? Why am I not doing this full time? So then hopped into real estate full time. And at the beginning, a lot of people they get into real estate, they hop into wholesaling maybe or something like that. That's their angle. And then they get into flips, and then they get into rentals. We kind of did it the opposite way. We got into rentals first, which we're glad we did because a lot of that happened pre-2020, pre-COVID. And then held the rentals, and then we're like, hey, let's get into flipping. So we started flipping houses, and now we're leaning even more towards the side of, going direct to seller, getting properties under contract and running that way. So it's been a lot of fun. So maybe that's like the high level, of who I am. There's obviously a lot of intricacies in all of those. But I know you guys had some pretty solid questions to dive into a little deeper. And I know things are gonna, I'll share some more pretty fun things there. So
yeah, we are looking to just kind of open a can of worms, ask you some questions. If we get to them, we get to them. But really, we want this to be as normal as possible as a conversation. So, you want to jump into one of the first questions?
Yeah, I actually have a follow-up question on your story because I know you went kind of the marketing agency route. So I'm very curious on why did you also do real estate, or what was the segue point from marketing agency into real estate?
Oh, that's a good question. It happened to be around COVID too. And everything's up in the air a little bit, you're not going to the office and whatnot. And so it's, we kind of are reevaluating at that point. And then I mean, ever since college, like I just love the idea of real estate. Took a real estate class, and then, one of our assignments was to analyze a property. So I analyzed a property on 1020 Park Street and was like, oh, actually this could work, and presented it to the class, that whole thing, and was like, hey, I'd love to take this down somehow. So I reached out to my family to see if, hey, could you be my capital partner, come in, finance the property, I'll manage it. And then I ended up living there in one of the bedrooms, rented out the rooms. That's like house hacking. You guys probably heard of that. And so it really just started that way. And when I was at the agency, I was more on the sales role. So just business development, bringing new clients in, that sort of thing. So less on like, hey, I'm actually doing the posting on the social medias, or I'm doing the strategy, more proposal building and that kind of thing. And it was great. I love the people there, but it just wasn't like, this isn't what I want to do.
Right.
I really do love the the people part of real estate. I mean, there's so many people you touch, from realtors to title companies to homeowners. But homeowners are probably my favorite people to talk to. Just the stories that they can share, and yeah, it's awesome. And then the rest of the buyers, the capital partners, like it's a riot.
Yeah.
I love it, and I wish I knew a little bit more of your guys' stories too, because then I'd be able to relate to a little bit more of that. But
that's really exciting, man. Like it's so inspirational, especially to me, because I'm kind of like currently in that stage of life, right? I do electrical, but also like have like 2 houses that are doing the house hacking system.
Oh, nice.
So it does work.
Yeah.
And it's a proven system. So congrats on that, man. Like just really embodying that and being excited about it.
Yeah.
Did you get extra credit for that?
Oh,
assignment?
taking it down?
Yeah.
I wish. Oh yeah. No, I definitely extra credit on the life side of things.
Okay.
Because that property is doing great now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I mean, pre-COVID, we definitely lucked out on that. Definitely not saying I did anything special there.
Yeah.
So we got it at a low interest rate, obviously. Then COVID hit. And,
Jeez,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Wow.
That's for sure the luck side. Like, or the Lord blessed it. Really,
Yeah.
there's nothing special I did. I will say that. There's like absolutely no, and maybe getting in the game. I think that's the special thing. Just
doing the work.
Yeah, doing the work, getting it down.
Yeah, I guess that's interesting you say that. You got that house pre-COVID, right? So you didn't experience any like tenant person that didn't want to pay and then have to, deal with the state and that.
No.
Man, wow.
Yeah, no vacancies. Yeah. So I guess maybe to like share a little bit more of like, I should have said it at the beginning, but kind of our portfolio, right? We have a single family in Grand Rapids. We have a fourplex in Grand Rapids, a duplex, my wife and I's primary. And then we have a property in Ludington on the lakeshore that has the main house and then a cabin that we moved 2 years ago to the second lot. And that Ludington property has 7 lots that we're looking to develop. So, and that's been a big process. So that'd be somebody I'd be interested in, talking to, is somebody who's done development. The property has 7 lots. They already have electrical to all of them, like the J boxes. And then they have the main drain field is set up, and so everything's ready to roll. They just we have to do a partial release with the mortgage company, and then we need to pull out one of the lots, and then move forward with financing and a plan to build there. So yeah, it's been exciting to manage that one, that's for sure. So
good.
But yeah, that's a little bit backstory.
Yeah, how big are those lots going to be? Each 7 of them.
The total property I think is almost 6 acres.
Okay.
So a little less than an acre each. But I think what we're gonna do, we don't need to build on all 7 of them. So we're gonna hopefully be able to pull the bottom 2 lots, tie the other 2 that are connected to them. So there's only 2 at the bottom instead of 4, and then the other 3 up top, we're going to leave on there. That would be connected to the drain field, because all this, like, the health department really has a way of complicating things, So they give us our boundaries of what we can work in, and then even this year a lot of those codes changed, which made things even more fun. And so, anyways, we can only have 15 bedrooms on that drain field, and it's by the bedroom, not by the bathroom. And so, yeah, we have 4 beds on the one, and so now we have 11 total. We'd love to make another a 6 bed and a 5 bed essentially.
Yeah.
Because we'd love to short-term rent it, and the more bedrooms you got, the better.
Right.
Yep.
Did I hear you say you moved one of the buildings?
Yeah, we moved a cabin.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 2 miles down the road. Yeah, I'm in another group of guys, and kind of similar to you guys, just all like desiring to build deep friendships and crush it in business.
Yeah.
And one of them mentioned to me, "Hey, my I got a connection to a guy who's got a cabin he wants to sell. And we're like, sure, let's do it. And literally 2 miles down the road, which is kind of wild. So,
Wow.
you know, got the police department now. They, you know, because it was a little bit too wide, they have
Yeah.
to like, you know, so they brought it over and set it in place. So it's
If you don't mind me asking, how much does it cost to move a cabin 2 miles?
that wasn't that expensive. I want to say it was like $1,200 or something.
What?
Huh.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a huge cabin.
That
you know,
is
17 foot by 17 foot.
Yeah.
You know,
Jeez.
so
I mean,
tiny cabin.
I would think for all the planning, the process, like
I know.
that
right?
would be a little bit more than $1,200.
Yeah, so I had connected with the guy who moves hot tubs. Like that's his main business.
Okay.
So he understands how to move heavy things and big things, and he uses the same principles and strategies to pick up a house, you know, or pick up a hot tub to do a house. So.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating?
I've been
love
on a
that.
project before where we've moved a house like about 6 inches over.
Oh yeah. Well, that's about foundation a little bigger.
Yeah. So like, and it was in Grand Rapids. It was just real. It was
Wow.
crazy. But moving that 2 miles
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like that's a whole different.
Yeah, it
That's
is kind of
awesome.
wild. Yeah.
So, wow, that's amazing.
Is that considered as like is that entity now like an ADU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or would it be a detached ADU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In Grand Rapids, I know that's one thing we're looking into a little bit more because we have some attic space and some basement space, garages. So I've talked to the city about, and they're like pro ADU, big time. I haven't been able to, you know, make it make sense quite yet, but we're like, hey, we already have these properties. Is there anything we can do? And here's something that I heard from another buddy who's in real estate. He's like, just because you have the property doesn't mean you have to do something with it. Like if you were like, hey, let's say 300 grand to invest somewhere. You already have this property and this back parcel is an opportunity. You're like, okay, would I use that 300 grand there? Like if I could pick anywhere to invest that 300 grand, would there be the place you'd want to build the house or, you know, do whatever? And that's the question you should be asking instead of, oh, well, it's just free because the land's there. It's like, well, maybe that location really makes sense for, you know, maybe the commercial side that you have on the front, but does it make sense for whatever you're trying to put back there? So that's been because we're looking, we have lots in Grand Rapids. Like, hey, we have these, you know, back lots. Like, hey, we could invest on these, or we can invest on lakeshore property.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, if I could pick the two, you know, like there's kind of a no-brainer there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because there is a downside to both of them, I would imagine, right? If you do invest in the city, you know, you do get a lot of touring and stuff like that. But you also, when you're doing like build in the lakeshore, people love that kind of view.
Yeah.
And they're willing to pay big money for that.
Yeah, and in Grand Rapids too, you're not allowed to short-term rent. So you can only midterm. Midterm's great. But anything less than 30 days, you can't in Grand Rapids. I mean, there's like, it has to be your primary residence. It has to be a bedroom in your home, and you can only do it for so long.
Right.
It's like,
Interesting.
Yeah, Grand Rapids has a lot of regulations.
I'd love to jump back to, because you briefly mentioned the Mastermind.
Mhm.
Would you mind giving us some more details on that? Like, if you can share, like what group, how many guys? I'd love, because I have a couple other segue questions on that, but I'd love for you to just give that overview for that group.
Yeah. So briefly. So it's 7-figure flipping, and I joined it about 5 years into my career. I got to a point where I was like, I had cash flow built up to then like afford being in the group from our rentals, and so it wasn't, you know, so that helped. I was also in a point where I felt isolated and siloed in what I was doing. You know, having a group like you guys, like that really helps. And so that's the same thing that 7-figure provides, one of the things. And then I realized, like, at some point you have to pay to be around the people you want to be around. Like, it doesn't have to go that way, but, you know, I'd go to a lot of free meetups, and like half the time people are trying to sell you something, and you're like, can we just like talk a little bit? You know, like, do we have to get right to business every second? So, or at least that side. And yeah, so I was like, hey, I need to find a group. And then 7-figure, there was a couple that I was looking at and interviewed, And seven figures stuck out because, you know, I love Jesus and faith is a big part of my life. And they, like Bill Allen, who like took over seven figure, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. I saw one of his, you know, kind of like a YouTube podcast thing. And he's like, hey, I'm not going to talk real estate at all right now. I just want to share what my pastor shared on Sunday. And he goes and he just shares the gospel. And I'm like, yeah, that's a group that I'd want to be in. And so not everybody in the group's Christian. That's okay.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, hopped into there. They do, maybe you have some other, you know, follow-ups, but they do quarterly events, you know, Clearwater, Tennessee. They did one in Cancun. So I think they did one in Colorado for their higher tier. I'm in runway, and then there's altitude. And then after, you know, and then you get to Top Gun. So he was, you know, he flew planes in the military and stuff. So
Love it.
yeah, and but yeah, and then weekly. I think the most helpful thing for me, the thing I was looking for, is the community part. And so for the first 2 quarters, every quarter you're going to be in an SGA, so small group accountability, and weekly you meet up over Zoom and you like you report on the KPIs. So your KPIs could be, I'm going to reach out to 3 private money lenders per week. I'm going to talk to 5 real estate agents, and I'm going to make 4 offers. Like whatever it is, you can make up whatever is going to get you to the next, you know, stage. Now it's kind of funny because most of those like KPIs, there's a list of under 10. It's like, do these things and you will see your business grow. And so I was in 2 of them, and then I was like, hey, then they reached out, hey, do you want to be an ACE? ACE is just the guy who coordinates the stuff. And so I'm like, sure. So started that, and then got people placed in my group. There's like 6 to 8 people each quarter. And then recently their runway tier doesn't have SGAs anymore. Only their altitude tier does. And I'm like, hey, well, we already have this group, you know, together. And there was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us at that time. And we did it for, you know, a quarter. And next thing you know, at the end, it's like, hey, I have this guy who wants to join, and that guy, and this guy. So now it's a little bit bigger. You know, I think 10 people. So yeah, and now it takes like an hour and a half, you know, instead of, you know, an hour. So, but those people are doing big things. You know, I go to the group each time thinking like, oh, I had a pretty sweet week. I can't wait to share. And then I'm like, oh, geez, no, I did. You know, these guys are coming in with some like big things they're working on, and deals are taken down. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be around you guys, you know? So
that's really cool.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
My next question was going to be like, why did you join that group? So you talked about faith a little bit. There's the community aspect. Is there anything you'd want to dive into deeper of? This is why. So let's pose it this way. You're pitching someone on if they should join a mastermind. What are the key reasons that they should do that?
I would say the biggest reason not to, like, don't fool yourself. Like, if you're going to join a mastermind and think joining it will just solve all your problems, or, you know, you'd be able to like, just like, hey, I'm paying money, you know, shouldn't I just have my business explode? It's like, it does not work that way. You still have to show up, and you still have to ask questions and pursue. You can't just show up and be like, okay, I'm a consumer, I'm just going to watch and just absorb. So that's one thing that's pretty important. But yeah, the other reason to be in a group, honestly, I do think community was one of the biggest parts, because there's weeks where like I'm having an off week, you know, like I'm making offers, none are getting accepted. I'm, you know, something's falling apart. ARV's coming in lower on our flips or whatever it is, and to be there with a group that see me through the highs and lows, and they can just be like just an encouragement, and to see, okay, like these other guys are still like doing well. Like I see it's still possible, because when you're in those like spots where it's not working or whatever, you're like, is this really, like, is this possible? Can I really make a living doing this? You know, it's wild how your mind goes there. But yeah, stick into it. Like, Stay with it. Keep showing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all plan to, right?
I hope so.
You were talking about your seven figures group. You mentioned the growth of the group, adding members.
Mhm.
What did that look like? And was there like a pain somewhere in the group that you guys needed somebody else to help come in and heal, if that makes sense?
Like, so how did we go about adding new people?
Yeah.
And how?
At what point were you guys in your group? And did you sit down and decide, hey, we have capacity, or we need another member or members? You said you started at 6.
Yeah. So it was a little bit timely because we were coming up on the end of our quarter. We have 12 weeks, and every week we check in on our KPIs on a spreadsheet, and I'm happy to give you guys that too.
Yeah.
Well, like share with this is what Seven Figure does, and I'm fairly certain I got it. I got that exact spreadsheet beforehand because Seven Figure, they just give. They're like give, and they want to see people succeed. So, but anyways, we were coming up on the end of 12 weeks, and it was like, hey, who wants to stay in? Who wants to drop out? And then a couple guys had just went to the Mastermind group or the meetup in Clearwater, and met a couple guys there that were crushing it, and they're like, hey, these 2 guys are interested in joining, and we kind of raised our hands, hey, who wants to add them? And everybody's like, sure, let's do it. So I mean, it was pretty simple. It wasn't too crazy, honestly.
Okay.
So
cool, thanks.
So it sounds like you guys might meet people from like a big event, and then because of their determination and drive, you guys might want to invite them, or if they offer to come in, you guys will vote on it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. And we're all in the same community, so like to get into Seven Figure requires like a cost, and so there is a barrier to even like there's kind of already a filter, right? And then at the events there's also the altitude group will come and be there too, so you get to rub shoulders with some like just guys that like just are genuine great human beings that are like crushing it. And I would say crushing it not just on the numbers in real estate, but their families are all like together. They're enjoying, like the marriages are thriving, and not everybody's like that. I know that, but it's like, yeah, that's like the success kind of that we're going for. It's not like, I'd love to get to another thing that recently that the Lord's been stirring on my heart, but yeah, that success, it's like, it can be grueling, chasing and that glory of success, like, and I guess in my opinion, like, I don't know if we can handle it, like in the long term. It's like, oh, I just did this super great thing, awesome. Now it's like I have to perform and do it again, and I have to perform and do it even better the next time. And I think that like kind of pollutes our mind a little bit on just saying it's our success. It's like in my view, it's like the Lord gives and takes, and if you have, that's because the Lord gave. If you don't have, it's because the Lord took. And like just like kind of get away from the whole this is me, this is my glory, look at how great I am. And to be honest, it like changes your heart posture a lot, and it changes like, oh, I can show up and give my all and know that I'm not trying to perform for anyone. And so anyways,
it's really good. I have kind of one more question as we kind of wrap up the mastermind discussion. You guys can definitely interject or add questions. I would love to get kind of your input on our group thoughts in general, because we're a little bit different scenario. We're all connected. It's not a paid membership, but we're all committed. We've put together like core beliefs that we have for the group. So we've been very, I guess, intentional with structuring the group, but it's unpaid. We're all investing our time. There's not like a return there per se. So I'd love to get your input on how can we make the most out of our groups. Also, the other aspect is we're not necessarily looking to add people just because it's not a paid thing. So it's like, how do we make sure someone's invested in the group?
Yeah, that's a great question. First thing was going to be like, keep it small, like keep it tight, and like grow together. and as you keep it tight, and kind of not get distracted, because you could add like 5 people to your group that are all stars. They're all like crushing it. It's like, but that doesn't really matter. It's like you guys like just stay tight, build your accountability in the group, because also when you have less people, you can have more dialogue and more conversations and stuff, which I mean really help individuals. And the other thing I wanted to mention is for each of you, reach out to one of the other 3 guys per week, only one of them, and from your guys' meeting, like, oh, I know, John had this thing that he was working on, and I know a thing that I could actually help him with that. Like, reach out to one of those guys per week, not not all 3 per week. That, because if all you guys are doing that in rotation, it builds a camaraderie, and it actually helps each person.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really cool. That's very helpful, because we've had a lot of discussions about that topic of, should we grow? Why should we? Why should we not? If we do grow, what does that look like? So that's very good input to get from you, because you've been a part of a high-level group for a while. And that's, I think, all of our dream for the group is for it to be a high-level group, but maybe not necessarily grow it. So that's very helpful.
Yeah, keep it tight. Yeah, keep showing up. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess another thought we had too is like, kind of later down the future, long-term goal is, once we've kind of established things, we've grown together, then we can each go off and branch and lead like a group of 4.
Oh, sure.
Right. And so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously follow your own convictions on it. Yeah, I think like I'm in a local group of the same, it's like 4 guys. And yeah, it has been great to just like be in the long term with that group, and keep pouring into each other, and showing up like consistently over time. So yeah, I guess I don't know if that's where you're being pulled and stuff, and it makes sense. I guess when we're doing the SGAs, we're like, hey, here's the next 90 days. We're doing these for per quarter. At the end of the quarter, that's your time to hop out if you want to hop out. Like it's a clean break that allows like, hey, well, this is just, hey, because I mean, so many things happen. Maybe you have a kid, or maybe there's you have a job change, you're moving. There's a lot of things that adjust. Then we have like a off ramp, on ramp, and then in the next 90 days we kind of like changed around. So
yeah,
cool. It's nice to be flexible for life, because life still happens. Like outside of work, life is still life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question, but I lost it.
That's all right. It's all good.
With this SGA group, or with your 7 Figures group, is there content that you guys like go through together? Are there books you guys read? If so, what are you currently working through, whether it's with these groups or personally, in the realm of real estate or just personal growth?
Yeah, great questions. So every day of the week, a coach comes on, and that coach is either in the altitude group or it's paid from 7 Figure.
Okay.
And that coach will talk. Lindsay does sales. Adam does a lot of marketing, and also high end. I mean, they're on the same team. They're crushing it. And then Bill will come on and talk tax strategies. Year end, like this year. They'll come on and they'll share. Hey, here's how you build systems around your rehabs and your flips. Here's and then they have a database of like every tool you can imagine, and then every single thing that they've recorded over the last 10 years is searchable in their library. Oh, wow. So if you're like, hey, I want to learn about subject 2, or I want to learn about I mean, you name it, you can type it in there, and it'll pull up any time that word was used in a video, and then you'll see the transcript and everything. So that's been pretty huge. And then they have resources connected with other partners. So like they have one with Home Depot where you can get a better discount at Home Depot just because you're in the group. Or with Ballpoint Marketing, the same discount. And yeah, so I mean, it's definitely there's so many resources. There's no reason to fail, right? It's like everything I could ask for is right here. Everything I'd need to know to make deals happen is right here. But it's like knowledge, just because you know it's there, doesn't translate. Like what I was saying earlier, like you have to show up and you have to do the work in order to see the needle move in your business.
I'd like to kind of shift a little bit from business to like a more personal. So like I noticed you said that number 4 was intriguing to you on my questions, and so yeah, can you give us like a rundown of the hardest thing you've experienced in your personal life, and like how did you get through it?
Yeah. In personal life, yeah, there's been a lot of like challenging things. I would say, I think the hardest thing that I went through was growing up. Like grew up in a Christian home, and then went to church twice a week, 3 times a week, kind of thing. And loved it, and literally felt like I was in a white picket fence. My family's perfect. We all love Jesus, and like it's been great. And then my sophomore year of high school, my mom let us know that like essentially my mom and dad were splitting up, which was, I mean, devastating. And yeah, it just like it came out of left field. Like, it just was not expecting that. Like no indications were like, oh, my mom and dad fight because they didn't fight, or they don't love each other because they loved each other. And it was really out of left field. I don't want to go into too many of the details on that side of things, but right after my mom shared that with my sister and I, and then I had a trip planned to go to the UP with some buddies, and so to go hunting, and it was in the summer, or whatever. Anyways, we went up to Newberry, and I was in like complete disbelief. Like I literally felt like it was a dream. Like this isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. I'm walking through the woods in the UP with my shotgun trying to look for some animals, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in a dream. And I remember walking along a path of like pine trees or something, and there was a ton of moss around. And I remember the Lord like meeting me there, and like saying like, hey Chan, like you essentially have 2 options, like 2 paths. You can like choose the world to like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like you can choose that path to cope with this, tragedy that's happening. And I'll give it to you. Like I felt like the Lord would have just like let me go, or you can run into my arms and I'll hold you. And that's just like, I can't help but like just like connect with that, because like for me, and at that point in my life, the hardest thing I went through was like the Lord just like, hey, come into my arms. And so what I remember is like going to the Lord, and that's what I chose. I like ran right to him, and I sat down in his lap, just like that's the like spiritually. And he just held me, and like it was like, yeah, nothing can explain it. And for the next like year and a half, I'd say like my faith just like skyrocketed. It was just like, yeah, it was almost like a friendship with God. It was like, hey, how's your day going? It was just like, it just, yeah, took off. And then maybe fast forward a little bit, to 10 years from the day that happened. So recently, I went up to the UP again with our church, and I didn't know where we were going. I thought we were going to do a hiking trip. And so I'm like, the day before, I'm like starting to pack my bags for this hiking trip. And they're like, no, we're going to be in a cabin. Like, oh, okay, sweet. And I didn't really know where we were going. I'm like signed up. I'm like, I just want to go. And we hop in the vans. We head up there. It's a retelling your story retreat. So you just dive deep in your story and through crossroads. And we go up to Newberry. which is kind of wild.
Whoa.
Yeah, same place. Yeah, 'cause it's same place. And then they're like, hey, go out into the wilderness, like get alone and surrender your heart and like pray and ask the Lord questions. And so I went out and next thing you know, I'm like walking down a path. It's kind of poetic.
Yeah.
Walking down a path and I see the moss, just around and I mean it was just like it was beautiful.
Wow.
And anyways, I finally was like, I was like, Lord, thank you. I got to tell him thank you for like, it's impactful for me. So
Yeah.
thank you for like protecting me for these past 10 years as I become more of a man and deepen my relationship with him and figure out what like direction he wants to send me. And yeah, it was a time to like thank him for that and thank him for protecting me from, because like you go down that road of something like tragic happening in your life and it can either like really damage you and pull you into like the depths of like that hurt and we all been there. I was there. And then it can also like it can create a foundation that's like for me, just me and the Lord, it was just like became rock solid. And I remember when I was the Lord was like sharing, and it's not like I'm hearing him, it's just like, oh, just an impression on my heart. He was like, all right, it's time to get up and it's time to grow up. And I was like, whew, like, man, okay, all right. I didn't want that, to be honest. I was like, I just love being, in your arms. And, but he's like, it's time to get up, time to grow up. And like, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what he meant by that. But in some ways, I think it's like, I think that the Lord desires me to, like, for sure be a good steward. That's been, and I'd love to share more about that later. But the other is like to bring the kingdom of God like down to earth, and that's through like showing up for people. That's like just allowing the Lord to work through like me in relationships and whatnot to draw people towards the Lord and actually like serve and love people on this side, on the physical side, because God didn't just redeem our spiritual side, like he redeemed the physical side too. Jesus rose from the dead. It's like that's a physical thing. So anyways, yeah, John, one of your questions, like, why do you get up in the morning? And I'm like, man, that's a good question. And yeah, that made me think quite a bit, but maybe that's a little bit of the answer. So
that's a great answer.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up, but before I ask that follow-up question, though, I want to say, man, that's amazing. Just the fact that you could recognize the options that was laid before you. And like, I've met people before when they've gone through a split like this, how devastating that it can be for them.
Yeah.
And some of the same scenarios, same, exact situation, and then their life takes a total different trajectory, and so I really admire that in your life story, man. That's truly beautiful. Yeah, I guess the follow-up question is like, what was it in there for you that what was it that determined that you wanted to run to God rather than the things of what the world had to offer?
I haven't had that asked before. Yeah, that's a good question. I know at that point I had like already, like had a lot of like habits and stuff built up in my life, and I was pretty deep into a community that like, I was in a discipleship group. That's what we called it from 6th grade to 12th grade. So I was in the middle of community. I think community had a lot to do with it. Like, hey, here's this these guys that are all like chasing the same thing. And yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it too much.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
totally okay. Like, cause what I'm almost hearing you say is your surrounding almost helped determine the choice that you made.
Yeah. The environment, the
The
people I had
environment,
around.
the people you had around you. Because
Yeah.
I would imagine if you were around people who coped with hard times, difficult moments,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a different way, it would look differently on how
Yeah.
you responded to that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of it has to do with community and um, yeah, and yeah, my family too. Just the faith that my family had too. They're just all the it's like a lot of the habits and the norms. That's like, hey, this is what we do. So it's like even if I'm not like I don't have the willpower to go to the gym, so to speak. It's like, well, I just go to the gym every morning, so that's just what I do. And on a down day, well, I still do it because that's just what I do.
That's just what you do.
So
That's
building a
amazing.
little bit of that resilience too.
Yeah.
So
That is powerful. No, thank you so much for sharing.
So you said being a good steward and bringing the kingdom down to earth. I am curious to hear a little bit more as to just your convictions and insight as to what it looks like to be a good steward. And yeah, I'd love for you to speak into that more.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that. Yeah, recently I would say I was in a season of like showing up, no fruit. It's like you're like I used to show up, and there was fruit. What's going on? What's happening? And yeah, and then I like one of you guys asked like what are the habits that have helped you in your daily life or in your life? Yeah, it was a great question. And one of them is like quarterly getting away in silence and solitude. That's like really helpful for me. It's I essentially get in the woods, whether I'm hunting or whatever it is, and I just like surrender for like 10 minutes. Just surrender any thought that's coming to my mind, and then I just like ask the Lord for guidance and direction. That's number one. So I was in one of those, like, hey, Lord, hey, I need some guidance and direction specifically around, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced anxiety in your business. It's at this point probably a lot. And I was like, I'm just tired of this. I love what I do. I enjoy it with everything I have. I know this is the pathway that you have laid out for me at this time, and I want to do it. Why is there anxiety around it? Why is it happening? And he just pressed on my heart. It's like, because what I was talking about earlier, it's like that glory is not for you. Like that glory is for me. Like you can't handle the glory. And if you're expecting to have all this success and feel all that glory that comes with it, the praise, the hey, you're doing great, Chan, like then you're going to experience this anxiety that comes along for me. And then I just felt like he was saying, like, be a good steward. Like, and so I've changed my framework around from, hey, I'm an owner of my business. I'm an owner of the success that I'm going for to I'm a steward. And in those, for me, in those moments, like those exact moments where I'm experiencing the anxiety or whatever, like, hey, I really have to get this deal to move through. I really need to close this thing. I really need to get this money moved over to here to make sure everything's looking good. Like I tell myself I am a steward. Like I'm a steward, and that like it's like all this is his, and I just get to operate in this world, and it's wild because for my heart it releases the control of the fruit, the control of the success, the control of like I'm going to make this thing work for me, to I am going to, with my best abilities, my time, resources, and talents, to like show up for this situation that's in front of me. Because I believe like us as men, like we're put on this earth to bring peace to the chaos. And every time we open our eyelids, there's chaos going on. And it's our role to step into that chaos and bring like God's peace to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like whether it's like literally anything, if it's your like our own families, okay, where's chaos creeping in, and how can we bring peace and order to that? Or in our jobs, in real estate, or in construction, it's like there's a whole lot of chaos going on the job site. Okay, how am I going to bring peace and order to this?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's where. Thanks for asking about this.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
good.
Just to make sure I hear you correct, I just
Mhm.
like to clarify things a
Yeah.
little bit in my own wording just to make sure I hear it. So it sounds like your business and your own life, you went from kind of uh, just your own mindset to a more kingdom focused
Mm.
type of a business.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah. Yeah. It's very kingdom focused.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
We love that.
One of the recent things too, I wanted to, one of your questions, I loved all these questions. You're like, what books have you read that help you with your business? And I mean, I can go down the list, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, How to Win Friends and Influence Others. Like those have been some pretty like fundamental books for me. And then recently, even like this year, my wife and I decided to read the Bible in a year. And so it's the first year we're ever going to do it, and we're on day 350 today. We're going through the Bible recap, and yeah, that's been transformational. Yeah, like I think the boiling a lot of it down, I would say the biggest framework shift for me is when reading the Bible. Like I would always read it and be like, how can this impact my life, and how do I see myself in the story? And it's like okay, set yourself aside for a little bit and and ask yourself, how have I seen God's character show up in this story? And like throughout from day 1 to day 350, like that's been my shift of like I'm just looking for God to show up in this story. And I think the more we pay attention to him and his perfection and his rule, like the more we become like him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
it kind of like the, how to counterfeit, like people who are really good at spotting counterfeit money. How can they tell what's counterfeit? Is they study the actual thing, like
Yeah.
crazy well.
Wow, that's so crazy you brought that up.
Mhm.
Man,
That's good.
that is really, really good. Yeah.
You've talked quite a bit on how faith and the things that you've wrestled with from youth until now, how that's kind of shaped you in becoming a man.
Mm-hmm.
How has your business and real estate, if there's any way that has shaped you as a man, and the way that you bring that home to your family, if there's any way that has shaped you, how has it?
That's a good question. So obviously we own rentals, and rentals are like any time of day you can get a call, right? It's not like 9 to 5, right? So showing up and being responsible to our tenants and our guests, that's like that consistently showing up also translates to home. And there's also the putting in the guards in the conversations I have with Shauna of like, we both know that we signed up for these rentals, right? And we know what that implies with where our time goes, and okay, hey, this thing just came up, is now time to handle it, or do we wait a little bit? So we're really on the same page with that, but I still like have to put in boundaries because I mean, work can just like, there's a never-ending avalanche of work that can happen. So it's like, okay, we have to put up stops. So I think showing up, though, I think that's been a big one. So showing up for Shauna and Charlotte, and I mean, it's nice to work from home and have the flexibility there. So like, I can show up during the workday. That's been a lot of fun. And then on Tuesdays today, Shauna, she works at she's a counselor, and I'll take Charlotte on adventures, so I watch Charlotte on Tuesdays.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, at first it was kind of like, I feel like I should be working, like there's that inner, I don't know, part of me is like, I need to be doing something. And since, it's been consistent, I have cherished those Tuesdays. And I mean, we'll travel all over Michigan. We went to the Grand Ledge. We've gone, Lakeshore. We've gone, north past Ludington. So that's been a joy. But I think showing up might be the thing that's
Yeah.
showing up for the people, the rentals, showing up for our contractors and our or the sellers, just constantly being available and responsive, but then also having like, hey, this is family time, and I think there's an element too of like everyone should have a little bit of that,
Mm-hmm.
But
Great answer. You did well.
You did
that actually covered kind of what I was hoping to get.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. 100%.
Nice.
And Cabela's. Cabela's is one
Yep.
of the adventures.
Yep. Took
That's a
her to
great place.
Cabela's. Yeah. Tried to look at the bows, and
Mhm.
the next thing you know, Charlotte's like, oh, look at all these deer, and we, she loved it. She
Yeah.
loved all the mounts, and I didn't think that's why I'd be going to Cabela's, when I'm,
Yeah.
but it's so fun with her. She's a lot of fun.
I'm sure she looks forward to those Tuesdays too.
Yeah. She knows. We're like, you ready to go? And she's like, go. She's like 20 months old, and are you ready to have adventure? Yeah. It's like, it's adorable. She's great. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm in awe of just kind of like, life is not just supposed to be work. The very thing you're working for, too often people miss out on it because they're so focused on the work piece of it. And so it sounds to me like you are like able to, yes, work hard, but know when to enjoy those things you're working hard for. And that's priceless.
Yeah. It goes back to that stewardship. It's like when I'm in work, I'm stewarding what I'm doing at work really well, and then when I'm home, I'm stewarding that, my family, so
yeah, it's cool.
But we're definitely not perfect, so I'm not painting a picture like everything's peaches and
now tell us right now how bad you are.
oh yeah
Just kidding.
I'm horrible. Praise God for his grace.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a question that in a way ties into just the topic of stewardship and things of that nature. It's also kind of tactical, and you can feel free to go as detailed as you feel comfortable with this question, but I was curious to know how you allocate your money, especially being a business owner. There's, the business side of things and the personal side of things. And I'm kind of on a journey of discovering that as, they both start to be more and more fruitful, wanting to be a steward above anything else for the kingdom. What that looks like in a practical sense. Would love clarity on that.
Yeah, out of all the questions, that was the one that I was curious about, understanding the question a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because there's so many.
There's a lot to that.
There's so much there. I think that's one of the topics that even the Bible covers the most. There's so many fingers in what your finances will do. And I think, I'm no expert, right? Like maybe Dave Ramsey, but I would say like where your heart is, like that's where like things are going to flow out of. So it's like, I think money is a heart issue first. And like, all right, where's my heart and where are my values like at my core? And my finances will reflect that. And so then there's the tactical stuff. Okay. So like say my heart, like me and, are you guys all married? No? Two are married.
Engaged.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
And so like you and your significant other, like, are you guys on the same page? And from like, say you're on the same page, you have the same core convictions on, your faith and what you want your family to look like those are, out of that will flow the rest. For like tactfully, what we do, we use Honeydew, and Shauna, she like uploads all of our personal expenses into that, so we can see a breakdown of like, hey, here's every single category, and holy smokes, there's a lot of categories. Going from like college, it's like I have 5 categories, rent, food, 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 food. You know what I mean? It's like, and now, you know, with our family and our household, you know, there's so many more. Yeah, I like us personally, our convictions, like the top 10%, like goes right to the Lord. Like it's like it is, again, it's stewardship. It's like really what He has given us is His, and what He's taken away from us is also His. You know, and so like that's our conviction there. As it relates to like business and tithing too, we operate our business as a business, and so we run all of our, you know, income to expenses, run everything down. Okay, here's our net profit. Okay, minus taxes. Here's what's actually going to hit our bank account if we did member draws. If we pull that over, boom, put it in our personal, boom, that's a for us, that's what our tithing looks like.
Right.
I mean, everybody does it a lot differently. I think we're in the season of you know, just bringing that into more of a consistency. And then it's like, I mean, you can go back to, you know, scripture in that route for tithing, and, you know, God wants a cheerful giver. And if He places something on your heart, like, I promise you, just like go for it. Just like, hey, go give this person some money, or go serve this person in this way, or like help them with whatever it is. Like, just do it. It's going to be the best thing for you. And if you don't, it's like God will give you times to turn back around and go do that thing, and like take the turnaround. Like turn back around and go show up for that person or whatever He's asking for. So I guess that's a little bit of that there. You know, maybe on the business side, you know, what we aim for is 3 months of reserves per property. So that just holds us in case we have, you know, vacancies, in case we have major repairs, and that's all in the when you're analyzing a property, you're already, you know, allocating, you know, capital expenditures. It's like, hey, here's my capex. Here's like a roof, a furnace, water heater, windows. Eventually, it's like you add all those numbers up, divide by however many years those things have a lifespan for, and then, hey, this is how much you need to set aside per year, just to keep building that account for the day that, you know, you have those, you know, expenses come through. So we used to be like $3,000 a year. Now we're close to like $5,500 a year, just because all those expenses increased. And then I would also say it probably relates to a lot of people is like, you know, pre-COVID, our expenses were, you know, I don't know, maybe, I mean, also because, you know, standard of living goes up, you have more people in the home, was probably like less than 50% of what it is now. And so even when we're living together for 5 years and married and doing life and like just our expenses in every category like kept creeping up. And it's not like we're changing a whole lot of like our living. It's like there's actually like prices are just going up in the marketplace. And so that's one thing that everyone across the board is experiencing. But it's a weird way that the enemy can kind of get in and be like, hey, you're spending too much money here. Like you start like going at each other. It's like, hey, well, like maybe you're spending more here or there, whatever. But then it's like, okay, let's look at where, like, how much has gas gone up? How much has food gone up? How much has insurance gone up? How, you know, all those elements. That, I mean, that's just a little scatter shot. I know. So is there anything else specific that you were looking for?
No. So basically you said, first thing is the way that you allocate your money is reflected on your values at the end of the day. And then making sure that you're in alignment with your significant other is very important. And then from there, it sounds like it's honeydew. Honeydew, is that like I'm assuming that's kind of like a budgeting software?
Yeah, it's a budgeting software that like integrates all your cards or whatever you have. And we just use that for our personal. Right. And then we have a bookkeeper that manages our, you know, our business stuff.
Got it. And then tithing was another big thing that you mentioned with just your personal conviction is whatever you draw out of the business into your personal side of things, you tithe 10% of that before anything, because it's just back to the mindset of stewardship. Like
Yeah.
it's his in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'd be curious to know what you think about what I'm doing right now, because up to this point, I've just kind of been learning from what I can pick up online, other people, and just trying to like piece it together. Because I didn't really, in that department, my family wasn't necessarily the most clear, or I don't know,
Sure.
didn't really teach me much about that side of things. But on the personal side of things, basically I have uh, several different accounts allocated to different big topics. So like one is for all my expenses, which I have a budgeting app that I use within that. Another one is, well, even before that, I have like tithing account, a tax account to make sure I'm setting aside money for taxes.
Yep.
Tithing account, make sure I automatically, like before it goes into any other account, do that as well. And then expenses. And then I have I call it my wealth education account or bucket.
Oh, nice.
And then I have a wealth investment bucket that I've just been putting money into there. And then I have I call it a big life expenses bucket for like whether it's I need to buy a car or
Yes.
Just big things that aren't really investments that are going to happen in life. And then the last bucket is like a fun bucket where it's just like we, use it for fun, basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I have it set up right now. And I've just been really just going to the Lord every month or so and just like asking like, okay, how do you want me to distribute all of this according to like each bucket? And the goal is every month I always allocate something to each of them, no matter what. So it's always growing.
Okay.
So yeah, what do you think about that?
So some of the percentages from the money coming in goes into certain buckets. That's always consistent. And then it's the other buckets, it's, there's a little bit of, Lord, what do you have for me? And then just placing in, whatever ones that
like
it makes sense.
How much do you want me to put in my wealth education bucket versus wealth investment, things of that nature?
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of like how I've been doing it.
Yeah, we have oh man, a handful of accounts too, and like so we have our bank account and we share our finances. Like it was like we get married, boom, everything. I mean, even maybe a little bit before that. It's like right before the wedding. It's like combine all of our finances. So we have one bank account that has multiple accounts in it. Same kind of story. And Shauna, she does a lot of the allocations every month, and man, I'm so grateful for that because I'm like, I'll reach out, I'll go and I'll attack the whatever's out there, and bring order to the chaos, and hey, okay, here's our income that's coming in to our family, and then boom, Shauna's stewarding the finances and allocating. So
yeah,
but we do it every month. We have a dollar amount that goes into each account. And I think we have ours broken up a little bit differently. We have like a reserves account, and I think we have less accounts than you do. And then we have like your fun account, that would be our like vacation account.
Got it.
We also have like a Christmas account. So it's just for the trips and the family and the traveling and everything, the gifts and stuff, like that's an account that's building up.
I didn't realize how expensive Christmas can be until this year.
Yeah.
First year of marriage.
Yeah, that's because you have both sides and so so it's been fun, but and also I think what bank do you use? Is it like LMCU kind of thing, or
it's Choice One Bank?
Choice One,
it's kind of a smaller bank, I would say.
Okay, there's one that our bookkeeper recommended. I think it's Relay. Does anybody here use Relay?
Mm-mm.
It's super solid for business. It's like a virtual bank, but the amount of things you can do on it online are insane. So you still can keep your physical bank, but then this virtual bank, everything. You can set up a system where that money comes in, and then boom, here's how everything gets allocated. Automatically.
No.
And it's like, hey, once this bucket's full, then boom, move it over to this one and start filling that one. And then when that one's full, move it over and fill this one.
I've been looking for something like that for a very long time.
Yeah, Relay.
Are you currently using it as well?
I'm not using it.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, so he was a bookkeeper, so I mean, he was just sharing with all of his, all of his clients and everything, and it makes bookkeeping a lot easier too. But yeah, they've loved it. So I've looked into it a couple times, and
Yeah.
it's one of the.
Do you use LMCU currently?
Yeah.
You asked that, so I figured maybe.
Yeah.
We use LMCU. My wife and I, we switched over. We were both using Huntington. Started in engagement, started kind of blending our finances, especially, you've got a wedding plan. So everything's on the table. Where's the money coming from? What are we doing with it? As soon as we got married, kind of blended everything and then switched over banks. And that was a headache because I've got my business that I'm trying to bring over. So you got to change all of that. And then both of our personals coming together, let alone using the credit union versus we were at Huntington, the platform and how they run their business there as a bank, totally different.
Yeah.
And so it is still taking us some time to figure out how to use their system, what works best. I love that they have kind of like an envelope system where you have, your main account with subcategories.
Yeah. And
then whatever hits that account can automatically just travel. It is very helpful to be more organized in a manner like that. As we're talking about finances now, we talked briefly on family, being a father. We talked quite a bit on business. I'm going to change my question now to direct all of those things. Did you ever have, but tell us about a time that something went totally sideways and what you learned from that. And my question was first about a deal. What deal went sideways and what did you learn from it? But you can either ask towards the deal, business side of things, or with personal life, and then what you walked away with.
Yeah, I was reading through it. The thing that came up for me was a deal that ultimately at the end we did decent on, we were fine. But so when we're looking at a deal, I guess. Do you guys flip houses? Does anyone here flip houses? Not yet. Okay.
I want to get into it.
Okay, so I'll share. So when a deal comes in, I run numbers on that. I use Flipper Force for anyone that wants to look into that. You estimate the after repair value, so it's after it's all fixed up. We get that number and we plug it in. All right, so then the next is rehab costs. All right, how much is it going to cost for us to get it from where it is now to the point of the ARV, value? We've never had a flip under 45 grand. And our most expensive flip was nearly 200 grand. And so
for the renovation cost?
For the rehab, for the rehab. And so for this particular one, it was a $200,000 purchase price. And our rehab, I estimated 120 grand, something like that. I mean, full electric system, full, most of the plumbing needed to be done. Furnace was fine, but we finished the entire basement, so framing, drywall, all that, and brand new kitchen, 3 new bathrooms, that kind of thing. And so I'm like, hey, and this is the part I want to get to another question earlier, but this is the part where I'm doing the rehabs, and I do not recommend that at all. Sure, you might learn. Okay, now
you're doing the physical labor.
I was doing the physical labor. I'm like, okay, maybe you're able to learn a little bit more of the a contractor can't pull a fast one on you because how things go together. Still, talk to 3 other people that flip houses and they'd be like, is he pulling a fast one on me? That's all you have to do. It's not worth spending 9 months of your time to do your own rehab. So anyways, I was doing my own rehab and that was terrible to do. And then I got to a point, I'm looking at our finances for the rehab and I'm like, we are not even we're kind of close. We're 75% there and we're going to be 50 grand short. 50 grand short.
Wow.
which is like huge. And that, I mean, the rehab side of that might have been like 35, and then there were some holding costs and whatnot associated with it. And like that moment got me like, I've been working the hardest, almost the hardest I've ever worked, like physically. I was pushing like 10, 12-hour days for like weeks and weeks. I mean, it was terrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And in some aspects, I don't mind working really hard. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed working hard. That many hours, that long. If we had a kid, well, no, I don't know. We didn't have Charlotte. Anyways, if we had a kid, oh my goodness, that would have been crazy. Would have been wild. So, anyways, we then like I got to that point where it's like, okay, we don't have the budget. Like we don't have the funds to do this. And so I literally had to go for a walk and got to that point where I'm like kind of freaking out a little bit. Not panic attack, but like, man, I haven't felt this before. I don't know how to get over this hurdle to get this job done. I think the things I had going for me is like the house and the rehab that we had already done. Still, like we had plenty of equity in the house, so it wasn't a problem. Like we're underneath, we can't even sell this house for what we need it. So like that's there, and we were using like our own funds to do the rehab. So like and for most of that was HELOCs, right? Like we're just pulling out from another property to put into this deal for 9 months, earn a return on it. And yeah, walking, I was just like, I don't know what to do. I have no what to do.
You just didn't know where to get more money?
I didn't know that was like that didn't cross my mind as something that I could do, is like just go out and ask for more money. So that's what I ended up doing. I reached out really to some family and said, hey, here's our situation. We don't have any money collateralized against the property. Can you guys want to lend on this for us? And I mean, they were so quick to say yes. So I mean, that was huge. And that got us to the end of the project. We refinanced at the end, and the appraisal came back just fine. And but yeah, I would say that moment of not realizing that private money is out there, and that it could help you in those situations. Well, that's not how it should help you. There should be a way bigger plan beforehand, and that's what we're integrating now. But yeah, it's that was probably the freakiest, like, oh crap moment.
And after putting like your own sweat equity into the project as well, probably made it that much more just like
Oh my
frustrating.
gosh. This is all about to go down now.
Yeah.
You mentioned you went to family immediately. Was that like, did you have in mind like what made that opportunity realistic to you to go to family for a loan in that moment?
That's a good question. I don't know why I thought. I don't know if they had heard what was going on. I don't think they reached out. I think I reached out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I did. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember why. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I just ended up reaching out to them and was like, hey, or maybe I was just talking to them, just catching up and stuff. And then just mentioned, hey, how's life going? Maybe it was something like that. I don't quite remember. But
did that change the relationships at all? Like going through that, doing any of that? Do you think if it didn't turn out well, that it potentially could have, or are they forgiving people?
No, I don't. I mean, I knew what our numbers were at for it, and it was like we had so much equity in the property. It was like
there's no way to lose.
You can't lose here.
Yeah.
Like we're like
very calculated.
You're not like the property's worth like it's worth a lot, and and the way we had it at that time, because it was our own like funds and HELOCs, right? So we're not putting liens on that property, and so then it's like there's no liens on this. It's free and clear, and yeah, it's multiple times for I don't know 8 times more, right? I don't know, something like
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
right? So yeah.
Was there a question that you wanted to jump to? Because when we started that conversation, I thought it sparked a thought for
Yes.
you.
Yes. Somebody asked, what was your time allocation early years, and then what does it look like now?
Yes.
That's a really good question. I'm gonna look at I put down some numbers on it, and
It's just, I feel like it's helpful to us just knowing, can kind of help us like figure out, okay, based on where we're at now and what you say, we can kind of see if we're, on the right track, or and how you would maybe do it different, things like that.
And I have a follow-up that is on this topic, but I'll let you answer this one first.
Okay, sweet. So I'd say 65% of my time early for the first few flips was in renovations, like doing the rehab. 30% was doing the bookkeeping and admin tasks, and 5% was finding another deal. And that's horrible. Don't do it that way. So many people do it that way. Don't do it that way. You do not have to run your life like that.
Even from the start, you would advise not to.
No, even from the start, you don't have to do it that way.
And this is specific to flipping.
This is specific to flipping, not, yeah. And I have another little thing about if I were to get into like owning rentals right away. Like if I was in your guys' spot right now, how would I do that?
Yeah.
But now 0% of my time is on renovations. 70% of my time is on finding another deal. 5% is on books. 15% is admin and managing contractors, and 10% is managing rentals.
It's totally swapped.
Completely different. It's finding a bookkeeper was like massive. That saved me, 25% of my time. And then, I mean, I'm not like doing all my numbers, right? This is just rough.
Yeah.
And then going from, like a majority of my time spent getting into properties to rehab them to 0 is like the biggest, that was massive. And I was like, how do you do that? Right? Like don't we want to know? So my time now is spent analyzing deals. And so I have to send offers to 10 to 15 sellers before I get a deal that makes sense. That was the part that didn't make sense to me. I was like, why would you send an offer to somebody? And I go direct to seller, so it's a little different. But you can do this with wholesalers. You can do this with MLS, deals too. Is like you make your offer on what makes sense for you, and what makes sense for me is, I'm going to hire a contractor to do all the work. That has a cost,
right?
And I am going to pay a private money lender for their for their funds on a monthly basis. That has a cost. I'm paying a realtor at the close. That's how much I'm estimating in there. Every single part of that transaction is placed into it. So then, I know that, hey, my minimum. So we shoot for like 20% of the ARV is what we want the gross profit to be, and never less than 35 grand. And so that for us makes sense. And I'm going to make an offer on 10 to 15 properties and see, okay, what one of those 15 will make sense. It is a numbers game at that point. And then once the deal comes through, you're like I would say the biggest thing is like the thing that is more valuable is a good deal. Money makes things happen. There is a lot of money out there that wants a place to make a return, and a return that's also collateralized against a property, and that like they can see all. It's like, oh my goodness, yeah, no brainer. Now it's not going to be like in a money market account earning like low % interest. That's less risky. It's a little bit more risky for sure. That's why they're earning a little bit more. And yeah, now that I'm doing that, and now I've moved a lot more to the top of the funnel. So it's like bringing deals in. Okay. It's a lot more sales. It's meeting with homeowners. It's talking with wholesalers. It's talking to realtors, and just analyzing properties and getting a ton of properties in at the top, running the numbers and spitting out the bottom. Hey, these ones make sense. But really, you make offers on every property, even if you're like, it's listed for 200 grand and I'm offering like 125. Like this is what makes sense for me. I'm not saying whatever makes sense for you. I'm just saying what makes sense for me, and I'm just making these offers. So, Yeah,
Interesting.
that's what's changed a lot. Now that means I'm not in the property. That means hiring a bookkeeper. That's a game changer too. But
How do you find those deals?
that's the question. That is the question that if I could, I guess I have a lot of ways that now I'm finding deals, but like that is the question or the problem that's most valuable to be solved, right? If you can solve that problem by finding a good property, like that's where your hourly rate goes up, like skyrockets, right? So if you can get really, really good at finding good deals, that's where it all starts making sense. We go direct to seller, so we mail out mailers maybe 500 to 750 a month or a week, and that gives us like 10 to 15 calls, which is a pretty high conversion. And you can pull data from like PropStream or wherever you can find data pretty quick. Man, I should have just shut my phone off. And you pull that data. A good one is like high equity, owned it for a while, 10 plus years, something like that. Sending out, you have to send out like thousands and thousands of mailers to get a deal. Maybe a good like starting point is like maybe expect to spend $6,000 on marketing to get one deal. So it's quite the investment, and that $6,000 is $6,000 like of like cost, plus it's answering the phone anytime the phone rings when you have inbound leads, never missing. Like you have to answer. You're spending a lot of money to get that phone call to ring, maybe $100-$150 per call. And then go through the whole getting to know the seller, getting to know their pain points. Why do they actually want to sell? Like, and how, like, what's their motivation? That's their problem. That's what you're solving for. And help that person solve the problem that they're going through. And it takes a lot of reps because, imagine going to 10 to 15 like appointments with, anyone and being like, they said no, they said no, they said no. It's that can be grueling.
Yeah. Wow. Have you been persistent on one person saying no before?
Oh, if one person said no, am I like going back to them and asking?
Going back to them after a period of time and asking them again?
I have a follow-up sequence. Like when we're in the middle of conversations, they call in. Then it's like, hey, nice to meet you. If I'm free right then we have like a 15-minute call to schedule an appointment. I get to know them a little bit. And then we schedule an appointment. The appointment lasts for maybe, 30 minutes, maybe 45, up to an hour that I've had before.
In person?
It could be in person or over the phone. I've done both. And then after that, then within 24 hours of that appointment, then I make an offer. And then I follow up the next 2 or 3 days in a row, like asking them, how are you doing? What's, what are you guys thinking? And then if they aren't ready to sign at that point, then it's like a weekly cadence for, a month. And then after that, then it's like but the follow-up is so important. Then it's like once a month. So, so many people, if you talk to guys that are, flipping houses and whatnot, that's like, it's the follow-up, the fortune's in the follow-up, they say, because it's like, I know I'm lazy. Like if I can have something kind of served me, that's why I order DoorDash. It's like I could hop in my car and just drive there. It's like if you have a solution to their problem and you can make it really convenient for them, it's like, I don't know, just keep being persistent and ready to, and have everything to back up your offer, so you can take it down and rehab it, or I guess then you can wholesale it too. But yeah, how do you find good deals? That's a little bit of it. So it's not like, but maybe another easier model, in my opinion, is get on some wholesaler lists. Like find a wholesaler in your area, find 10, 20, find as many wholesalers as you can, get on their list, create an email that's like, John, you're doing this, Biggs buys properties, something like that, your last name or whatever, and then say, hey, wholesalers, send all your deals to here, to this email, and then you can't, every day would be best, You can do it once a week, whatever works for you. Analyze every single deal that comes through and make an offer on every single deal. And then in my experience, like 1 in 10 of those might hit, and you'll be able to take a property down and you're like, hey, this all makes sense. And this is me not doing the rehab. Like, I mean, it's just like at that point, it's a numbers game.
Which is pretty good considering you have to spend marketing dollars.
0 marketing
1 in
dollars.
10. That's
Yeah.
What was your question, Aaron? I was curious to.
Yeah, were you going to dive deeper on the time allocation? So I'm going to segue. It's going to be similar topic.
Similar. You mentioned briefly that you had a little something on the rental side of things. I would be curious to know. Do you remember mentioning that? I think you said
Like,
something.
10% on rentals?
I think.
Or like time allocation?
Yeah, and how to get into that if you were.
Oh, if I were in your guys' spot, or if I didn't own a rental yet, well, some of you guys own rentals. How would I get into it? Yeah, if I could start over, somebody asked this. If I could start over right now with the knowledge I have, and get into rentals, what I would do, I think it'd be tougher because I'm married now, so that's not, if I were single, it'd be a little easier. So what I would do is I would start saving up, money for a down payment on a property, like 20%. I'd save up, and then I'd go get pre-qualified to buy a property, and at first home buyer. So you can put as little as 3.5% down, which is crazy. And then I'd go look for fourplexes. I'd look for a fourplex specifically. I'd look 2 miles around Medical Mile, like a 2-mile radius. And then I would, make offers on fourplexes, running numbers, making sure it made sense. And then I would buy it and I'd move into one of the units. And then so I had 20% saved up. I used 16.5%, the leftover, as my budget to do rehabs in the units. Or you can find some private money out there, but that's a little bit more risky if you haven't been in the game. So putting your own sweat equity into the property, you still have, it's like you're putting 16.5%. You could put 20% down, and then okay, I have 20% equity, or I could put 3.5% down. Okay, I only have 3.5% equity. The rest is financed. But then if you're like using that extra funds to rehab and bring up the value, like you are building equity into the property. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing it yourself, you're adding more than 16.5% to of value. So it's, in my opinion, it's like a pretty smooth way to go. And then what I would do after that is I would, specifically in the 2-mile radius, I'd midterm rent it. I'd put it on Furnished Finders or Airbnb and convert it to a midterm. It requires more time and effort, more management. So you can't just it's not quite short-term rental. So it's not like you're dealing with new guests every 3 days, but there's still there's more upkeep and more maintenance. But starting off, it's like you have time. So it's like, do that,
Do you say midterm just because it's higher cash flow?
Yeah.
Compared to just the standard house hack formula that I typically hear?
Yeah. It's a higher cash flow. You're getting professionals in that
take care of it more.
They have maybe a stipend for their housing allowance, and sometimes, in some cases, it's like, that company that they're working for is giving them a stipend to stay at a hotel for a month. It's like, okay, you can add up what the cost is for a month to stay at a hotel, and then just translate into a single family house or a fourplex, its own unit, 2-bed, 1 bath. Then it's like, okay, yeah, they have the funds, they're ready to do it. It's their own space, they have a kitchen, when you look at the numbers for Furnished Finders, like Grand Rapids is a hub. Like it's hot for midterm rentals. Like you have to pay to have access to the data, but you can see like, hey, how many people are searching for a midterm rental in Grand Rapids, and it's almost 300,000 at this point per year, which is it's a crazy amount of search
given the size.
Yeah, for real. And then the amount of units available are like 300. something like that.
Interesting.
So I mean, it's like, oh yeah, there's definitely demand for sure, and supply's low, and there's stipends for it, and then furnished finders, they don't take a cut. It's like $150 a year to have your rental on there, but Airbnb, they do take your cut. They're like 11%, 14%. Yeah, but so what we do is we just increase our margins on Airbnb, and like, hey, if you want it, then it's going to cost more.
Yep.
And people are still paying more. So it's like,
no brainer.
yeah, it's like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Quick question on it. Then Aaron, I want to make sure you can dive into
for
that. Strictly fourplex, or if the numbers make sense, it can be a triplex or a duplex. But in general, you've seen that fourplexes are the most beneficial.
Yeah, if you're looking for cash flow, because I would say at the beginning of your investing, it's like I optimized for cash flow. Like, what can I do to get cash flow? Because cash flow allows you to get out of your 9 to 5, and that's the game changer to be able to then get into the flipping or getting to own more rentals. Fourplex will provide the most cash flow just because there's multiple units, and you only have to live there for a year. Then you can move out and then convert the unit you were in to a furnished finder, and then so cash flow. I mean, there's probably a case where you could just buy one fourplex and no, maybe two, but then like have enough to cover like the basic needs, so then you can have time. You're buying your time back then to go and tackle these problems, like how do I find a good deal? Like, okay, I'm going to spend all my attention on that to get these good deals coming in. But yeah, the cash flow is pretty helpful.
That's gold.
It is gold.
Thank you. Because you can ask
gold.
them. My goal has been get into a duplex, house hack, but I didn't really have it as dialed in as to what made most sense. So I really appreciate that. That's huge. I was taking notes here.
Do it. Like, actually, like, find a way to reach out to every fourplex owner. Or it works with the duplex. It works with the triplex. It works with a single family. But no, it can't. That'd be a little bit more difficult if you're living there. But
yeah, I told them too. I was like, man, you have someone who knows how to build. You have me as an electrician here. And Aaron is also handy with his hands too. So you got us here, man.
Thank you guys.
It's definitely possible.
I'm the last one of the group to not own a property, so they're all.
Oh, you don't own one yet? Nice.
They're all on my side and making, helping me make it happen for 2026. So super thankful. So
I'm imagining
2026 is your year. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining Aaron has one more question for us here, and then we can kind of transition into a closing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this question will kind of tie into a couple topics that we've talked about. But something, and you mentioned earlier, there was a 5-year period before you joined the Mastermind. But I feel like as I've talked to a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, there's like this season that they go through. I've just kind of referred to it as the build season. So I'd love to hear kind of what that initial build phase looked like, and you can dive into the time allocation standpoint. But I've just noticed there's a period of very hard work or very focused work that ends up setting up that person to go to the next level in their business. So started with this 65% in the hands-on, and now you've been able to transition. So I'd love for you to kind of dive deep into that beginning phase on the real estate side.
So the beginning phase of, okay, here's what I had. These are my resources. This is my understanding, my knowledge. What did I do at that point that set me up to then get into, or here's my build phase. How did I, set all that up?
Yep. And what were some of the like key components, like even your time too, like maybe you were working, and I know you said you were working like 10, 12-hour days at the beginning, and then it's like that has changed.
Yeah.
But where did that begin?
Let's see. I mean, way back at the beginning. I was just, somebody asked about how much should I invest or put into my savings account for like buying another property and stuff. And it's like at the beginning, it's like invest into your mind, and invest into the knowledge and the understanding of like what you can do. And so that's what I was doing. Like I'd get into properties and I was renovating because that's what I had. I didn't have the knowledge I have now, but I knew how to, get in and I'm not even close to your guys' skill level of like rehab, but I knew how to do that. And during that, I'd listen to podcasts like every second. I was listening to, at the beginning, I was listening to Bigger Pockets, but that was years ago when Brandon Turner was on.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's changed, and I don't listen to it anymore. Seven Figure Flipping, obviously, that's a solid one. But I would listen to that like a ton, and it would always like, in some ways, it would help me. It would motivate me to like keep going. Like, hey, you're like, the only thing that you can see right now is the tip of the iceberg, but you're building the whole thing underneath right now.
Out of curiosity, what age were you at this point?
Oh man, when I started, it was let's see, 7 years ago. 22. I'm 29 now. Yeah, and I can't wait for my 30s. And my 30s are gonna be the best years of my life. Yeah. I have some goals that I want to accomplish before 30. So this year, so we'll see. But anyways, yeah, digging deep and doing a lot of like sweat equity on them, finding more deals. We bought the fourplex, 6 years ago. We bought the single family 7 years ago. We bought the fourplex like 6 years ago. Then my wife and I bought a duplex also 6 years ago. Those were like kind of the start. And we could get in there and renovate them and place tenants and that sort of thing.
So very hands-on.
Yeah, I was pretty hands-on at the beginning, for sure. Like, yeah, the things I'd hire out were, mechanical, electric, plumbing, those elements, but everything else, yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's a little bit of the build there.
Yeah, that's good. So I've just noticed the pattern of hands-on, hard work, putting in that work, and that ends up paying dividends in the future. Kind of like you were saying with the iceberg analogy, like you're starting here, but you're building the whole thing out.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah, and it literally is fundamentals. Like you were learning fundamentals of the actual building, the physical asset that you're investing in, and yeah, it's super helpful. I always thought it'd be interesting if like high school could have classes where it's like you analyze properties and you get in and you like sure they have these building classes, but can't you learn a little bit more of the numbers and the business side around it? I think that would be kind of intriguing. But
yeah.
Actually, Seven Figure, Bill Allen, they came out with a TV show.
Yep.
And they're doing like kids who flip. So Bill is like almost like the Yoda, who's like teaching the kids how to flip their own houses, and the kids go in and they flip houses.
That's amazing.
It's wild. So yeah, he's airing that, and I'm like, why not start that young? Like,
yeah.
Not? Like,
there's no age limit, really.
No.
Like, that's crazy. That's amazing. Do you have any like final thoughts for us as we kind of close out?
Oh man, yeah. I think what you guys are doing is pretty solid. Like stick together, like really like continue to lean into what values you have as a group and want to abide by and want to stick to, and hold each other accountable to those. Because there will be times in your guys' businesses where you'll be tempted to like take the shortcut or whatever it looks like, and like look each other in the eyes and be like, hey, this is what I'm faced with. And they'll stand up and be like, hey, your character is better than that. Like don't go into this shortcut, whatever. Like stand true, and it works in the long run. Like it does. And having community around you like during those times is super helpful, because it's like we just need each other. We need each other to just we're definitely stronger together. So yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Well, thank you.
All right, rapid fire. Last couple, you can say pass if you don't want to jump into any of these if it's not beneficial to you. But what are you currently, and if you want to try to keep these like 1 or 2 sentences, summary for our audience, what are you currently excited about that you're working
We're adding 2 bedrooms and a bathroom to the Ludington property. So we're gonna get that up and running. We'll be able to have 18 people staying there. So if anyone's interested in a vacation rental in the summer, it is expensive. So just know that.
Beautiful property though.
Yeah, beautiful.
We'll get the link for that if anybody's interested, so you can access that.
Yep.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And the property manager was pretty nice too. So
Awesome. Good, awesome. How can the audience learn more about you if they'd like to?
yeah, I'd say Facebook. You know, I do not have social media like on my phone at all. I think that's just too much of a distraction. But I do post, on Facebook all the stuff that we're doing, on my computer during the day and stuff. So
Awesome, cool, love it. And then, is there anything specific you're looking for in your business? A problem to solve, key person?
yeah, I would say I'm looking for a capital partner or a couple that really align with our values. We're not chasing these like home run deals that we're trying to blast off. We're looking for solid base hits that are like secure, that we know are right in the middle of the market. We know the demand's there, and so yeah, we're looking for guys, ladies that want to land on those. So yeah,
Awesome.
love it.
Phenomenal. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the IntentionALL podcast. If you're traveling to Ludington, check the link below and check out Chandler on Facebook.